Film emulation, probably one of the most popular words in photography and videography of the last years. People are shooting 35mm film just to get that vibe and the look that it gives you. And I've tried to replicate that film look. Is it a lot or the color grade? Maybe add some grain or use an overlay. I've shot on vintage lenses, all to try to give you the vibe of this tiny film roll. I have tried it all, but I've never got the film look I was looking for. I tried a lot of methods to accomplish the look that I want.
Tell you that I love you 100 times a day. You'll get tired of my voice, that's how much I'm gonna tell you that I'll miss you. I'll miss you if you go. Yes, I'm gonna let you know just how much I tell your mama, I tell your papa too. Gonna let everyone know about my love, so I really hope you love me too. Yeah, I really hope you love me too. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you that I need you. I need you every day. You'll get weary of my touch, that's how much I'm gonna tell you that I want you. I wanna let you know, oh, you're the only one for me, no one else. I'm gonna shout it out, yeah, up on the mountaintop. I'm gonna let everyone know about my love, so I really hope you love me too. Yeah, I really hope you love me too.
So first of all, I want to thank Dehancer for providing me with their software. This is a collaboration between me and Dehancer, and they provided me a license of their software, and they asked me to give my honest opinion and my honest review about the software. They don't ask me anything to say, just my opinion. So I want to share my opinion about the Dehancer software. So I have used the Dehancer software for a couple of days now, and I really like the software because you can choose your own film emulation, and then you can tweak this emulation in your own taste. And the great thing about this software is that if you apply an emulation, it looks like it is in the footage and not like an overlay kind of thing that is up on the footage. If you know what I mean. I've used a lot of overlays, and if you change the grain or you change anything, the grain doesn't change. And if you change it in the Dehancer software, it looks like it is already in the footage and not on the footage like an overlay. So that's why I think the footage looks natural and not over-processed by any software. And that's what I really like about the Dehancer software. So another thing that I really like about the software is that you can choose the camera where you're shooting on, and you can choose the picture profile. And the software will convert the footage to Rec 709 and then apply the film emulation. There is also a thing that I don't like. Obviously, I'm a Lumix shooter, and I am shooting on the Lumix S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX. But if I choose the Lumix S5 II, they only give me the V-Log L picture profile. And the Lumix S5 II uses the full V-Log profile. And that's why I think the software doesn't use the full potential of the dynamic range and the colors. So that is, for me, it's a bit of a downside because I am a Lumix shooter. Another thing that I saw that was that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, another favorite camera of mine, is not supported in the software. Obviously, you can convert it yourself to Rec 709 and then apply the film emulation, but it would be handy if it was in the software and the software did the conversion to Rec 709. So what I really like about this software is that you can choose your own film simulation and you can tweak it around in your own preferences, and you can export that lot and save it. So the next time you want to color grade your footage, you don't have to redo the whole process, but you just choose your own lot and maybe make some fine adjustments here and there, but don't have to redo the whole process. They also have an app, a mobile version. Currently, it's only on iOS. So I am using an iPhone, so I have used the app. And I have to say, I really like the app. You can also choose a film emulation and tweak it. So for the content creators that use an iPhone, for this instance, on a daily basis and shoot a lot of content on their iPhone, I really recommend this app because it works almost the same on the desktop or Mac version. So if you shoot a lot of footage on your iPhone, you can also grade your footage on the mobile app. The mobile app is a paid subscription, but I think if you use your iPhone on a daily basis for content creation, I would recommend this app. And I think if you are into film emulations, you kind of want that Fuji experience on your iPhone, this app is a no-brainer. So thank you, Dehancer, for providing me the mobile subscription and let me play around with the iPhone app. I really like the app. The only thing that I experience as a kind of downside is I use the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So it's currently the newest iPhone, and the app is very stressful for your iPhone. So if you are color grading a video, you will definitely stress your iPhone. I know color grading is an intensive task, but I just want you to know your iPhone will stress if you color grade your footage on the mobile app. So another downside of this software on the desktop or Mac, I'm using an M1 Max fully spec'd out. So I think that's a lot of computer power. I'm using it with Final Cut Pro. So the Dehancer plugin, I use it on Final Cut Pro. So when I'm tweaking the settings and choosing different film simulations, Final Cut Pro is starting to stutter. And when I'm just working without Dehancer, Final Cut Pro is working fine. I don't experience any stuttering at all. But sometimes when I'm using Dehancer and I'm changing a lot of footage at one time, I have to let my MacBook render because Final Cut Pro is beginning to stutter, and I don't like stuttering footage when I'm playing it back. So I have to render it before playing back. So I would really like to see that Dehancer maybe could optimize their software for Final Cut or for Mac. I don't know if that's possible, but if it's possible, I really like it. I can imagine people who are using an Intel-based MacBook that this is almost unusable because it uses a lot of computing power. And if you don't have that computing power, then it's almost impossible to use this software. So just that you guys know, it is an intensive software for your computer. So if you take a look at Final Cut Pro and we open the Dehancer tool, this is the Dehancer tool, and you can drag it on your footage and get started. On the right side here, you have all the things that you can change in the Dehancer software. So here you can choose your own camera, or you can choose Rec 709 or Rec 2020, Apple Gamma or Film Lock. I have choose camera. Here you have your vendor and the kind of camera. I'm using a Panasonic, the S5, but they only give you the ability to use V-Log L, and I don't like the footage if I choose the V-Log L profiles, so that's why I chose the FX3 and the S-Log3 Gamut 3, because I think I get the nicest colors and best dynamic range out of these settings. And from here on, you can tweak everything in your own style. So exposure, compensation, it speaks for itself. The temperature, warm or cold. The tint, green or purple, magenta. The contrast boost. Gamma correction doesn't change much, but just the tiny bits. So in this section you can choose your film emulation, and as you guys can see, there are a lot of film emulations. For this footage I went with the Fuji Riela 500D because I liked it the most for this example, but you can change it to every film stock you want. Gold 200, also a nice film stock. And they also have some black and white, the Ilford. So if you like black and white, they provide you. Portra 800, also a nice film stock. Yeah, the film stocks are almost endless. Here you can push and pull the warmth or cold of the film stock. I like it a bit warm because it was a very rainy, cold day. So give the image a little bit of warmth. The film compression, you can toggle it on and off to see what it does. So here the image is kind of contrasty, light section here, dark section here, and to balance it out I choose this for my white points to smooth out the white section on my chest. The tonal range is how much colors you get, and I like the colors when the slider is around here, because if I pull it back it almost looks like it's going to blown out. So push it in a bit. The color density doesn't seem like to do much, but if you zoom in you can see that it's comparable with saturation, but it's not saturating the color, but gives the color a richer look. This is also a minor adjustments in your black point and white point. You have color modes, normal or luma. I went for normal. Here is your print style. So you have a couple of print options. You can change it to the one you like. I went for the Fujifilm 3513 print film because for this example I like this one the most. And here you can also play around with your exposure, tonal contrast, color density and saturation. Here you can see that if you change the color density, it's not so much saturation but more richer colors, and not more saturating the colors. So if you enable and disable it, you can see what changes it makes. You have an analog range limiter, so that is, you see if you enable it, that the darker sides get a little more brighter, But for this scene, I liked that it was a little bit darker and this was a little bit brighter in the image. So your color at, yellow or blue, if you change it, yellow side, blue side, this sliders you have to adjust just minor steps, because you see if I go to -10 or -13, the image gets very yellow, and on the other side obviously very blue. So I wouldn't go above minus and +10. I went for a little bit of a yellow tone. The magenta and the greens, the cyan and the reds, the shadow tones warm or cold. For the shadows I went for a bit of a cold tone, just to get a nice contrast between the shadows and the highlights in these shots. Preserve exposure, makes the image a little bit darker or a little bit brighter. Here you can see the changes that I've made here. And this is where it gets exciting for me, the film grain. Here you can choose the millimeters and the ISOs. For this footage I went with 65mm ISO 250. That is just a minor grain, but not too much. If you go for 3550, for example, you can see that the image is much more grainy. And for this example, I wanted some grain, but not too much. So that's why I went with 65 to 50. And this is without, this is with the grain. So you see the sharp edges of the image are more soft now because of this grain. So one time without grain, with grain. So the next step is the halation. You can also choose a profile, so you can make your own choice. I went with the 35mm, and this is with, and this is without the halation. So in the next step we can choose our blooming. You can also choose the millimeters, and you can enable or disable. For this footage I have disabled it, because if I enable it you get a white line. Of course that's the blooming effect, I know, but for this example I didn't like it so much, so I have turned it off. But this is what it does. And you can really see the power of this software, because you can see it looks like it's in the image and not on the image, like an overlay. So the filmed image, I've turned it off because I don't like the film image. I like it if you go for a retro look, but for this example I did not want a retro look, so I turned it off. But film damage is like this. You see damages in the film. But for this example I've turned it off. Film breadth, again choose your own profile and enable or disable it. I didn't see much of what this effect does, so I turned it off anyway. The gate wave, and here you have your vignetting options. You can choose your exposure. I went for a bit of a vignette. and you can choose the size of your vignette and the feather, of course. And aspect ratio, it's kind of nice that it changes the look of your vignette. So very powerful software. Another nice thing about the software is that you have monitor options in it, so you can check your false colors IRE, and you can see that I am overexposed on some parts on the image. And you have a clipping indication. And when I turn on clipping indication, you can see that I don't have any clipped parts. So here you can choose the strength of your film emulation that you have created. If you go to 0, you have your log footage, and if you go to 100, you have the maximum film emulation. This is the LUT generator, and if you show it, you can choose your LUT size, and you can export your LUT, and if you press export LUT, it crashes. On the tab options, you can check your license info. I'm not going to show you guys because my license key is shown if I press license info. And if you check profiles, it automatically looks for updates and new film simulations. And you can see the verified cameras, 129 verified cameras. So basically this is updating your software. So this was a quick tutorial and quick review about the Dehancer software. I'm really stunned about the power of this software, and I really can recommend this software if you're looking for a film, for a film-like footage. This is definitely a good software to achieve your film look. And you can go as far as you want. For example, if you want a lot of grain, you can choose 8mm ISO 500 for the maximum grain. I don't think anyone is going to use this, but just to show you guys, 35mm ISO 50, I think this is a great grain image if you're going for that really retro look. But like I said, for my example, I went from 65mm ISO to 50. So this was my tutorial and my review about the Dehancer software. If you guys want this software, I have a discount code for you. In advance, I get a small commission. And the discount code is SBM10. If you apply that code at the checkout, you get a 10% discount on the Dehancer software. This code is not working for the mobile software, only for the desktop versions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed the review about the Dehancer software. And I see you guys in the next one.